This is Voltron00X, and today we're doing a follow-up to my Chromebook Pixel 2015 review. I had a lot of people ask for some additional demo and just showing how Crouton worked and Ubuntu worked, so we're going to take a look at that today. When I first did my review, there were some graphical issues and some other problems with using Crouton. I tried XFCE and I tried Unity, and in both cases I got weird graphical glitches with the cursor when I switched back and forth between Chrome OS and Ubuntu. And I had some other strange issues with unexpectedly poor performance and some other problems with shutting down and logging out that you wouldn't expect from a device like this. So I actually removed Crouton, and one of the things about my initial review of the Pixel is I didn't really buy it for Crouton. I have a MacBook Air, I have two gaming PCs. I don't need to be able to use Ubuntu on this Pixel, but it is nevertheless nice to have. There are times when it's nice to have some of the local applications that you can't get in Chrome OS. So I went ahead, and what I found out a little bit after I did my initial review is that those graphical issues and some of the performance problems were being caused by the Intel drivers being out of date. They released updated drivers for the Intel 5500 HD graphics and up. So if you have a Chromebook with the Broadwell 5th generation Core i3, i5, or i7, so that you'd have to have a Chromebook 15, Acer Chromebook 15, a C910 with either Core i3 or Core i5, or a Chromebook Pixel 2015, either the Core i5 or Core i7. If you have any of those and you want to use Crouton, you need to update the Intel drivers. So there'll be a link for that in the description for this video. So once you, and I actually posted at Voltron00X.com an installation guide for Crouton for any Intel system, but specifically for the Broadwell processor Chromebook. So if you want to take a look at that, that actually has the instructions there as well, and I'll link that in the description as well. So this is Unity 14.04 with the drivers updated. This is a Chromebook Pixel 2015, the base model, the Core i5 with 8 gigs of RAM and a 32 gigabyte SSD. So I have changed the desktop background. One of the first things that I do with the Pixel is you need to change the resolution. So the basic resolution of the display will make everything pretty much unreadable. It's going to be tiny. If you use XFCE, there's a bunch of different things that you can do, but in Unity, all you really need to do is change the resolution here to 1600 by 1024, which maintains the 3:2 aspect ratio, but it makes everything readable. And you can actually scale the menu and title bars and do some other things here, but I found that actually just changing it to that resolution, to me, this is perfect. You can also, change the size of the icons and stuff like that, but one of the nice things about Unity here is you can just lock stuff to the side. So just to go over some of the apps that I've installed, I have Firefox, just because, there's something funny about having Firefox on a Chromebook, but this actually works incredibly well. It runs really, really quick. I mean, generally speaking, for web browsing, I'm still gonna use Chrome OS. I mean, it's silly for the most part not to just use Chrome OS and use Chrome if you're gonna be doing web browsing. But you can install Chrome again in Ubuntu, or you can use the Crouton extension to cut and paste in between the two. You can also now install Crouton so that it runs in a browser tab. So I have it so that you flip back and forth between environments, but you can also set it up to just run in this tab. And that with the extension, that makes it very easy to move data and cut and paste in between the two. But in any case, so you can see how this loaded fine. Firefox, having Firefox is kind of cool. So that's here. This works great. So we've got that. That's running perfectly fine. We've got Steam. Looks like it has an update here, so I'll let that run. I've got, obviously, Software Center. Pretty much always want to install. So this runs perfectly fine. This is a great way to install and uninstall software, especially for folks that are new or relatively new to Ubuntu. You got your terminal command line here, which is great. Always want to have that. And then I've got some emulation here as well as Minecraft. So we'll take a look at those as well. I'm actually gonna, let's go ahead and get Minecraft going here. So Minecraft was perfectly playable in the Haswell 2955U Celeron devices from late 2013 or early 2014. They've kind of moved away from those. You did have to kind of reduce some of the graphical fidelity with the Pixel, and this one has the Intel HD 5500. You don't really need to do too much to mess with the settings. I mean, it doesn't hurt to do it. You certainly can, but you don't need to. I get about 40 to 45 FPS with the default graphical settings, which is fancy and full particles and all the other things that you'd expect. And it just dropped me out of that because of Steam going at the same time, so that's unfortunate. But we can go back into that in a second. But yeah, so in Minecraft, 40, 45 FPS with the basic graphical settings, and you can actually get much better than that if you're willing to play around with it. So, this is Steam. Steam works great. One of the things that's really awesome is when I first started using Crouton, the controller, Steam didn't recognize the Xbox 360 controller, or in fact any other controller that I threw at it. When I went back now, you can plug and play an Xbox 360 controller and it works in big picture. Every game detects it automatically, so that's been sort of a really neat bonus that I wasn't expecting. Again, this is not a computer you're buying for games, but it's just cool that it's there. So if you want to do it, you can. I have 28 games installed on here, which is cool, and they actually all work really well. Again, you gotta keep in mind, this is not a gaming PC. It doesn't have a discrete graphics card and all that type of stuff. But yeah, I mean, Binding of Isaac Rebirth, Don't Starve, all these games have worked really, really well. The Source Engine games will work great. If you're going to be doing gaming, you probably want to think about setting up your Crouton install to either a USB 3.0 flash drive or an SD card and read it off of the USB 3.0, so get a card reader. So one of the drawbacks of the Pixel is that it actually runs the SD card through the USB 2.0. So unfortunately, you get sort of a bad experience with running Crouton through an SD card. Now, you can circumvent it through the USB 3.0. There's 2 ports plus the 2 USB Type-Cs if you want to get fancy, but you have options. So I'm going to go ahead and load up a game, and I can show you how something runs. Alright, so here we are with the wired 360 controller connected. This is big picture mode. See, it runs smoothly, everything looks good. I was playing some Duck Game earlier. It's unfortunately not out for Linux, but those of you with a Windows PC for gaming, it is a fantastic multiplayer game. So here's the games I have installed locally, just a nice mix of titles. These are all ones that I've, almost all of these I've tested and they run really well. We can take a look at Outland. So if you're not familiar with Outland, it's a sort of like a Metroidvania kind of title. It came out on the 360 in the Summer of Arcade in like, I don't know, 2009 or 2010 or something. But it's a sweet game. So you can see it runs perfectly well, it runs smoothly, animations look great, perfect controller support. It's native, just like it would be on a Windows gaming PC. So the gimmick with this game is you have red and blue, and you switch colors, and it changes which things you can interact with. So, you know, if I'm red, I can stand on red, hit the button, switch to blue, and you know, you can damage things of the opposite color. So that's Outland. It's a nice little game. Runs really well. You know, I suppose you'd expect an older Xbox Live Arcade game to run pretty well, but regardless, it's nice to see that it does. Towerfall Ascension, if you're not familiar with that. So this actually just had a big DLC that came out, which enables 4-player campaign, which is cool. So again, I think you'd assume that this would run well because, I mean, this runs on just about anything. But it's awesome just to know that you actually have perfect Xbox 360 controller support through Big Picture, because that wasn't there before. I actually spent the better part of a year trying to figure out why it didn't work, and it has to do with port forwarding. If you've ever tried to do Steam streaming, it's the same reason why you have to do port forwarding to make that work. There's just, it didn't used to detect the controller. So I don't know what changed, but it's great that it did, because just being able to have this available as an option is just really cool. Risk of Rain, one of my favorite games. It actually says that you need a keyboard and mouse, but it's lying. And the guy you control in this is always tiny, so it's actually, there's nothing wrong with it. So this actually has an FPS counter. You can see it's at the bottom, and it's going to sit at 60. They actually, with this game, it originally ran pretty badly on some of the lower end systems, but they did an update not that long ago that makes it run smoother on integrated graphics solutions, which is cool. So, you know, Race to Sunlooker, Shovel Knight, I mean, all of these, again, there's nothing on here that's particularly graphically challenging, I guess, and that's more because of space concerns for me. So I have this installed on the local SSD, so you get 32 gigs, about 22 or so I think are usable. 23 gigs are usable before you install Crouton. Once you have Crouton on there, I think it's more like 18 or 19. So there's not a ton of room available to load this thing up with games. But I did test out Portal 1, as well as Half-Life 2. I don't have them installed now. I just installed them, tried them, and deleted them. They ran great. Half-Life 2 in particular looked fantastic on this. So if you're looking to run like Team Fortress 2, the 32 gig storage is going to be a problem because Team Fortress 2 is not the smallest game in the world. But if you can figure out the space issue, it'll run great. So I know that's something that a lot of folks were curious about. So this is Steam. Steam runs really, really well. One of the other things that people are always asking about is Minecraft. So Minecraft runs to some degree on just about anything at this point, any new system. Even the Atom 3735F powered devices can run Minecraft to some degree. But this is actually going to run it pretty well. So again, about 40 to 50 FPS with the basic graphic settings out of the box. So here we can turn on, here's the FPS. So 49, 50, now this is rendering and I'm in the Nether right now. For those of you that are familiar with Minecraft. Why I'm in the Nether, I couldn't tell you. But you can see, flying around here in creative mode. We're sitting at 47 FPS. I'm going to go back to the other game I have. I don't play a ton of Minecraft, although it's my son's favorite game, so I'm familiar with it. So this is in survival mode. You can see 42, 44. Here it's rendering in. Let's take a look at the graphics options. So I have it on fancy clouds, particles, VSync's on. We're rendering at 11 chunks. So you can turn that down. Particles are on all. So it's pretty much what you'd want here. I mean, you can see how smooth this is. It looks fantastic. So yeah, so Minecraft absolutely going to be playable, and with some pretty good settings. I mean, you can see how well this controls. So that's Minecraft. Again, you don't need to buy a $1,000 Chromebook to run Minecraft, but it's nice to know that if you want to run Minecraft on it, you can, and it runs great. Emulation. Here's Visual Boy Advance. I'm not going to do too much with these just because there's some obvious concerns with showing emulation, but this is the Visual Boy emulator. Now, I didn't actually, you have to configure the controller. I haven't done that yet, but you can see this runs fine. So I haven't played around with that much on this system yet, but I loaded up one of the Castlevania games just to give it a shot. It ran fine. Similarly, this is NES. If you want to do NES emulation, you certainly can. This is going to be tiny just because I haven't played with the settings, but so there you go. So I actually don't know what any of the buttons are because it's on. Here you go. I don't know what jump is. I didn't configure anything. But again, you certainly can. You can do terrific emulation on here. So another reason that people use Crouton on their Chromebook is Skype. Skype has an Android app, and there's, I guess, a web version for Chrome that you can do text messaging only, which seems kind of pointless. But this actually works fine. So Skype for Linux, you can install it through the website, or I believe through Software Center, and this gives you the full-on version of Skype. So I hope you enjoyed that look at Crouton and how Unity 14.04 runs on the Pixel 2015. It took me about an hour, maybe a little less, and that's including the download time and install time to get everything set up, and then installing programs took a little bit more time from there, but it's pretty quick, it's pretty easy, and it's relatively painless at this point. So if you get a Pixel, it absolutely can run Steam, Minecraft, Skype, Firefox, pretty much anything that you would want a full, quote-unquote, full OS to be able to do in terms of local applications. So I'm doing this stuff just for leisure, but for those that are so inclined that want to use this as a development machine or for whatever, it's definitely up to the task. So I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions or anything else you'd like to see, let me know in the comments. Appreciate it if you enjoyed this video. Certainly appreciate you throwing a like my way. Thanks everyone, be safe out there and have a good one.